Hey everybody, Ed Kasper here. We're in the office today. It's the end of February. It's still bitterly cold outside. Yard's covered in about 8 inches of ice. But we're going to talk corn planters because it's coming. We will get our corn planters out and plant that corn eventually. It might be 4th of July, but by God, we'll get it done. There's lots of videos on YouTube about how to dial in a planter, normal planter tune-up, planter maintenance, and they're all good and they're all important. Disc openers, gauge wheels, run your meters on a test stand, blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk a few different things here. Some things that maybe not a lot of people are familiar with. First off, when we get our planter out in the fields, we want to control what we call chatter. And chatter is that row unit bouncing like this. Okay, you can easily accomplish that two ways. The first way to accomplish less chatter in your row unit is slow down. And by slow down, I don't mean from 6.0 to 5.75. I mean slow down to 4 miles an hour. That will eliminate a whole lot of chatter. Another thing to eliminate chatter is to check your parallel arm bushings. They are super cheap. It just takes you time to change them out. The better your bushings are, the better your parallel arms are, the less chatter in that row unit. Those are the two easiest, cheapest things to do to eliminate chatter. From there, you start talking about downforce systems. And believe me, I've already heard every story under the sun why nobody can afford anything. I get it. I farm too. However, we want to set ourselves up for as much success as possible. And I deal with Randy Dowdy quite a bit. He's an NCGA champion, blah, blah, blah. And he'll tell you flat out, you don't need Delta Force to grow high corn yields. And you don't. He grew 503 bushel corn running Air Force with a down and lift bag on Air Force. However, he had pristine field conditions. He had super warm temperatures of his soil, which is easy to do in South Georgia. And he drove 3 miles an hour, maybe 3.5. You can only plant as fast as your planter will perform. And for his setup running Air Force, 3 some miles an hour was as fast as he could go and still have control over that row unit chatter and that seed drop. Because not only does chatter affect your planting depth, but it affects your seed drop, because if your meter is dropping them perfectly, but they're bouncing up and down the seed tube as they go to the ground, you're messing up your spacing and singulation. You can only plant as fast as your planter will perform. When you get into Delta Force, that gives you whatever it calibrates, 10 times, 15 times per second per row. That gives you the control to go 4.5, 5.5 miles an hour, maybe even a little bit more in really nice conditions. So we want to have control of our planter. We don't want to just jump in, cross our fingers and say, boy, I hope Mother Nature knows how much I need a good year. Help me out a little bit. We don't want to be that guy. So evaluate your downforce system, evaluate planter capacity, how much do you have to get done, and how slow can you go to do it right and plant in a timely manner. So the next thing we'll do after that is we'll get that planter opened up and set down on a hard, level, flat surface. And what you do is you go to Menards and you buy some 4x4s, and you cut them about 8 inches long. And when you set that planter down, you set it so the gauge wheels are sitting down on your 4x4s. Then I want you to come back under each row with a 2x4 and maybe some washers set on top of it, depending. And then you measure the distance from the bottom of your disc openers to the floor. What we're doing is we're taking our time and using that hard level surface to make sure that our disc openers to the floor is the same gap all the way across that 30-foot, 40-foot, 60-foot planter. We're looking early for U-bolt issues, cracked frames, bushings, bad parallel arms, a sprung row unit. We want to look for the obvious things early, okay? So we're setting planting depth, and we're trusting that planter is going to be doing its job, doing what it's supposed to do. Next thing you do is when the dirt is fit, you go out and you get a ratchet strap, and you strap up these closing wheels. And you plant corn for about 50 feet, 75 feet. And then you go back on each row and you take those seeds and you measure to make sure that each row is planting at the desired depth. Around here it's 2 inches. Pretty common, people plant corn at 2 inches. What you'll find, what you may bump into, is this depth setting. It may be different for the different rows. See, it doesn't matter that these have to be the same. What matters is everybody's planting at 2 inches. So, row 1 may have a setting like this, row 2 may have a setting like this, row 3 might be like this, row 4 might be like that. Doesn't matter as long as the planter is consistently planting at 2 inches across the 30-foot, 40-foot, 60-foot. And think about it, if you've got a 16-row planter, 40-foot swath, and you just set the peg and assume that everything's planting at 2 inches, that's a lot of blind faith. I would want to confirm that. So you take that, you make sure all of your rows are consistent, and mark with a paint pen where that marking should be, so you don't lose it when you have to go to beans or something like that. The next thing I want you to do, and we're going to break the bank here on all the toys we're spending, but while you're at Menards, spend $7 and get one of these. Maybe go nuts and spend $14 and get 2. There's a magnet here. So then I want you to set that on the toolbar itself at row 1 and row 12, or row 1 and row 16, or whatever it is. Because we want that row unit, we want to know that it's level all the time. Don't guess, don't just eyeball it. Because if that row unit's plowing, you're going to have depth issues and you're going to have closing issues. And if it's skitching, it's the same thing. Those closing wheels are going to be flicking that seed out of the trench. So those are just a couple things that are a little bit different, but can really help you dial in your corn planter for success and get you that even emergence. And we talk flag test and we talk even emergence again and again and again and again. You should be doing this if money is important to you. These 2 ears of corn are the reason why. Same hybrid, same row, same fertility, same weather, same rainfall, same GDUs, same everything. This is a day 1 emerger, this is a day 3 emerger. Probably, I don't know, 20, 30 bushel difference between those 2 ears. This is your difference in emergence. So what we're doing here with these simple tests is making sure that we're giving Mother Nature the best opportunity possible to emerge those plants equally and get you off to a good start. Your sprayer can't fix your planter's mistakes. Your combine cannot fix your planter's mistakes. You get one shot with it, so let's do it right. As always, call me with questions. I'll be glad to help. 309-208-0117. And get out on YouTube and look around. I wish I was smart enough to have thought these things up on my own, but I didn't. Learned some of these from Randy Dowdy, learned some of these from Precision Planting. I'm sure there's a few Missy Bauer things in there. Get out on the YouTube and do some little research. There's a lot of really great videos out there to help you get your planter dialed in, tuned up, and ready to rock and roll. So with that, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.